Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexi Odds here. It is Thursday, and we beat the Sacramento Kings late last night. We beat them pretty good and beat them all the way through the game. Uh, really, really good. And also, we won the other game for 905 yesterday, too. So, 2 wins for Raptors organization yesterday. A good day for the Raptors all around. We're going to get right into reacting to these 2 games. So, if there's anything y'all want to say about the Raptors game last night, just go ahead and put in the comments and we'll talk about it. But I'm going to just start doing my general reaction. Naco the Nachos first in. He says, damn. Holding this Kings team to under 100 points. Best players were Pascal, Precious, Scotty, and Boucher. You put down 4 guys because it's really hard to pick 3 from the game last night because it was this is the thing. Both games by the Raptors yesterday were won with varied contributions from a diversity of people. In both games, you had like 6 or 7 guys contributing to get the win for the Raptors 905 and the Raptors in Sacramento. That there wasn't just like a 2-headed monster of 2 really good guys carrying everybody else. You had a cast of characters that were all very much helping the team win yesterday. And you know what? We'll start out in the morning with the 905 just real quick. 905 playing Birmingham Squadron, who are not the best team in the G League. They are the New Orleans Pelicans G League team, and their record isn't good. They're 2-12 after yesterday. We are 6-4 now, and on a good streak with the Raptors 905, and it does have a lot to do with an uptick in talent coming down there. Christian Koloko playing his second Raptors 905 game yesterday and doing pretty good with a double-double, 12 points, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, 8 turnovers. That's the part that I don't necessarily like, but 9 offensive rebounds. Listen, y'all, Koloko, like we said, him on the G League and playing for Raptors 905 is a good thing because he really is on a discovery mission there, and there's more and more being discovered about him. There were quite a few little alley-oops for him, but look, 9 offensive rebounds, 4 blocks, a plus 18, 14 rebounds overall. Yeah, he's going to be real good. And he played very well for them yesterday. I'm not necessarily going to pick him as one of my 3 stars, but I did want to do an update on him first to start the game. The 8 turnovers and 5 of 12 shooting just doesn't cut it for me. Christian, you got the good double-double and the good blocks, but still, I need better from you to put you in my top 3 for the game. My number 1 star for the Raptors 905 yesterday is the returning Sterling Brown, who made his debut as a Raptors 905 in Mississauga, and he had been gone for a little while. He'd been playing with the Lakers and LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, and he had just returned from that assignment, and he shot 7 of 10 from the field, including 6 of 7 from 3 for 20 points, a plus 13, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Sterling Brown is my player of the game for the Raptors yesterday. He was fantastic shooting-wise, just amazing. And then my second star of the game is Gabe Brown. He was also off the bench and shooting pretty well from 3-point, 3 for 7, 6 of 10 from the field, 17 points for Gabe Brown with 4 rebounds, a plus 6. And then my third star of the game is Ron Harper Jr., who very efficiently scored 13 points on 5 of 9 shooting, 3 of 4 from the field, 3-point range, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, a plus 22 for Ron Harper Jr. Yeah, just a good effort all around by the 905 with 6 players in double digits. Other guys of note, David Johnson got 13 points. Reggie Perry got 13 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists from 6 of 13 shooting. And then Jeff Doughton, he didn't score double digits, but he had some very key plays in this game with 3 steals, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, a plus 24, the highest plus minus on the team for yesterday. Jeff Doughton Jr. showing leadership, not necessarily scoring yesterday. We also had a couple of bright spots like Ryan Hawkins, 2 for 3 from 3-point range for 8 points. Not bad there. And then, 905 doing a good job, taking care of business against the Birmingham Squadron. And they will play them again today, starting at 7:30 tonight. Yeah, there's some people yammering outside my door right now. I wish they just walk a little further down the sidewalk. Okay. All right. Yeah. So Raptors versus Birmingham Squadron. Expect that game around 7:30 tonight. And here's your ref crew for that game real fast. The referees for the Raptors 905 game today are Jenna Renault, Nate Surley, and Kaz Beverly. That's your ref crew for today in Mississauga. And as you guys should know already, Christian Koloko will play in this game for the 905 tonight and then get on a plane tonight and go to Golden State to meet them for the game tomorrow, and will be available for the Raptors in San Francisco for the Golden State Warriors game tomorrow. So he will be in the West Coast after today's game in Mississauga. So there you go. There's your Raptors 905 update for this morning. Great game by them against Birmingham. Let's duplicate it again. And once again, having Koloko on this level is really different. It's like he said in the interview after the game, these guys have been playing undersized all season, and now I show up and they can see how I really help things by being here to help rebound, block shots, and do other things. I'm sorry. There's like a circus out in front of my house right now. I don't understand. This happens sometimes when you live in the city. I don't know what these people are doing. Just move right along now. Come on now. So, yeah, Koloko's effect on the Raptors 905 has been a very good effect, and it is equaled winning. So, yeah, you go Raptors 905, continue to climb the standings in the G League, and we're very proud of you. There's your G League update for today's podcast. Or today's live stream podcast. This isn't a podcast. Tom Duke is also jumping in here for a sec. Sweet chin music from Precious and Boucher. Only second time Kings have had under 100 points. Domas gets a career high in turnovers. What a way to start the business trip. Yeah, both of you guys are talking about this number 100 with the Kings. And it is very impressive that the Raptors held them under 100 points. In fact, in some ways, I would have told you it would have been impressive if they had held them under 120 points. If they had held them under 110 points, I would have been very impressed. Well, under 100 points, well, that's old school defensive style. How the fuck did that happen? I thought this was the new NBA. This is the scoring NBA. This is the crazy high scoring NBA. Well, a player said this recently. I forget who it was. I've been listening to a lot of interviews of players a lot lately. And they've said, yeah, the scoring may be up this year. Oh, it was Pat Connaughton. That's who it was. JakesTakes, y'all. JakesTakes has a new interview out with Milwaukee Bucks player Pat Connaughton. And Jake, you are such a homer for the Raptors. I love you, man. At first, I was like, man, he has a buck on his show. What's this going to be like? Well, Jake was asking him such Raptors-related questions to a Milwaukee Buck. I thought it was hilarious. He was asking him to say good things about the Raptors and Fred VanVleet in particular. He said one question, Jake said, Pat, so many people are putting down Fred VanVleet right now and having so many problems. I feel like more players in this league need to be telling the fans how good Fred VanVleet is and who he is. And he's like, Pat's like, oh, no doubt. Fred VanVleet is a winner and he is so good. And he goes on and on and on. I just love Jake for doing that. He's part of the Fred propaganda. He's part of the Fred stands. He sees all the stupid noise right now, and he's doing his part in the fight. So highly recommend listening to Jake's Takes with Pat Connaughton because it's a really good interview, and it's funny. It's short, and most of it is Pat having to talk about the Raptors in a glowing way, which is awesome. I love doing it. I love how Jake did that. I was like, Jake, man, all right, is this going to suck? Is this interview going to suck? And no, it was an amazing interview because Jake is such a Raptor freak. Let's just put it that way. Well, one of the things they talked about in this interview, which my original point is that they're talking about the high scoring in the league this year. And Pat Connaughton said this. He's like, look, you can see all this high scoring going on right now, but at some point, yeah, things are going to get shut down and things are going to start grinding. That it's going to get more physical, it's going to get more defensive, and these people are not going to be scoring so crazy. Like, it's going to get into more of playoff mode and more of like, this is grinded out, like you got to earn every little thing, and scoring will drop. This is what Pat Connaughton is saying he expects to happen, and he's right. This always happens every year. You average like 105, 110 points a game, and then boom, the playoffs start, and you have a hard time just getting to 90 or 100. in the game. So in some ways, our score last night, keeping the Kings down below 100, is we're getting ahead of what's going to start happening more and more at the end of the season. Teams will be tired, teams will be dealing with things, and teams will also be reverting to the style of play that is necessary to win in the playoffs. And that's a very physical, very defensive kind of game, which favors our roster, which favors the way we play, which favors our long arm monster that has so much length and versatility. And that all that stuff that we did so well last year was on display last night. That we saw the videotape from last year was played in practice, and Thad told us, well, they looked at it and they remembered some of the stuff they did really well last year, and they showed it last night. The effort was sublime. They really were working really well together. People were pointing out that Scotty Barnes was not screwing up in any kind of way. He was perfect. And he was changing his role between which unit he was on the floor with. There was the starters. He has a certain MO of what he's supposed to be doing. But when other people are in there, like the bench, Chris and Precious, he has another MO for what he's out there doing, maybe being more of a point guard at that point. So very, very interesting game. And I think you guys are right that it is really a huge accomplishment that the Raptors held the Sacramento Kings to 95 points last night as one of the most potent, roaring, going good offenses in this league right now. That they have been on a roll. They won like 8 out of their last 9 games before we played them yesterday. They were feeling real good. But didn't it seem like the Raptors kind of really controlled them and handled this game in a very effective, like smart way? It wasn't easy, don't get me wrong. But there were periods of time in this game where there was a very good thick layer of 100% Canadian maple syrup lead in the second half, 20-point lead, 15-point lead. And when they would come and threaten us, well, we kept ourselves together. We didn't panic, and we continued to score and keep that higher and higher, that water level higher than theirs as it rose to try and meet ours. We just kept it up higher the whole time. And I think this is a team that really is not like last year's in this way for the Raptors, that they do not need to be playing from behind. That because our offense is kind of shaky this year, that whenever we get in the deficit and we're the ones trying to come and make up the score to catch the other team, we do not do that well this year. So it really is the kind of year where we have to jump out and stay on top and kind of keep them below us to effectively win games. So this is something they're going to have to do repeatedly on this road trip to win. And well, we got the first one. The first one is 7. We get 3 more. It'll be a winning road trip. We get 5 more. Woo-hoo-hoo. That'll be fantastic. 4 more. That'd be fantastic. Holy cow. Now, Nako said his players of the game were Pascal, Precious, and Scotty/Boucher. That's a little bit of cheating, Nako, because you're supposed to only pick 3, but that's fine. That's fine. Now, let me pick my 3 real quick. My number 1 star is Pascal Siakam with a double-double, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds. He led the team in offensive rebounding, and the offensive rebounds were really important. Coach Mike Brown, after the game, talking about how the Raptors got 24 more opportunities on the goal from the offensive rebounding and the steals, and that when we manufacture so many more shots than them, and we're shooting about the same, there's no way they can beat us because we just have more opportunities to win. Siakam, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, plus 15, 11 to 24 from the field. He was really good in the third quarter. He had only scored 6 points by halftime. And then in the third quarter, he did something like I've been crying out for him to do, is he just took over for a little while. And he scored a lot in that third quarter. To have 20 points by the end of that quarter, that was fantastic because he did not start well in the first half, but he definitely showed up and made himself known in the second, in the third. Pascal Siakam, my player of the game yesterday, really good job leading the team and doing it in an effective way where it was aggressive. And also, it needed. At that time, we were needing that because it was a dangerous time after halftime where the Kings had reoriented themselves to try and attack our defense in a different way to try and get back in the game. And we didn't allow that. We went to Siakam, steady Siakam, and he really did show up in that third quarter last night. That was his quarter. I'm going to give my second star to Precious Achiuwa. 19 points off the bench, 9 of 12 from the field. 9 of 12. Yeah, that's really, really good. 5 rebounds. And then, +3 overall. He did hit a 3, but Precious was a different kind of force in this game last night. They talked about it also after the game, where like Mike Brown says he was a real problem. A lot of really cool athletic stuff that Precious was doing when he was attacking the rim last night, like switching hands and doing really weird balancing acts and like really crazy like finger rolls and things that he was doing other than dunks. Precious was fantastic. He really is a huge factor in winning to help us win, whether it's because of his defensive acumen or the rebounding, or it's just the plain threat of him just like turning a corner and just running towards the basket with the ball and attacking the rim. And he is really, really good at this. I'm really appreciating Precious Achiuwa right now. And the fact that 2 guys off our bench last night got 35 points to help our bench scoring like get really high and outscore the other team is fantastic. We don't have to play a lot of the bench if Chris and Precious are going to score this many points. And yeah, Precious was fantastic. Really, really fun to watch him play last night. Chris Boucher is my third star. Once again, just because of this bench stuff. Chris was huge early in the game. The Raptors were having trouble scoring consistently from anybody. And he showed up and got he was the first guy in double digits last night. He had 10 points very early and finished with 16, 7 of 11 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3-point range. He had 6 rebounds, a steal, and 3 blocks. Chris was funny because he hit his first 3 last night. And I was watching the Sacramento feed, which was commentated by Paul Jones's little brother, Mark Jones, and this lady named Christensen. I don't know what her first name, Katie Christensen or something like that. Well, when Boucher hit the first 3, she said, "A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while." It's so stupid. She said that a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Well, what did she say when he hit the second one a couple of times down the court? Just couple possessions afterwards, nothing. There was dead silence of, oh shit, did I really say that about his shot before? And now he's hit a second one. Yeah, that was pretty funny. There was a lot of like put your foot in your mouth on the Sacramento Kings announcing yesterday. It was hilarious. At one point, Mark Jones said that the Raptors were riding Pascal Siakam like the TTC. And he had to explain what TTC was on the broadcast. He said, because we were using him so heavy in the third quarter, Mark Jones said, the Raptors are riding Siakam like he's the TTC. I was like, oh man, Mark Jones, come on, you're a turncoat, bro. You are secretly Canadian, and you're not totally like acting Canadian anymore. And it's just kind of a weird situation with him. I did not realize he does Sacramento games regularly, and that was kind of fun and stuff. But he's like, it's always interesting to hear him calling the game because we just saw him call the game for us against Milwaukee in one of these games that we couldn't score any points. It was pathetic. And, it was kind of a sad occasion. Well, he saw a very different Raptors team tonight than the last game he saw us play in. And then in some ways, he has to be kind of like gauging it from that, Mark Jones. It's like, look how bad we were against Milwaukee and how we couldn't score any points in the beginning of that game. And, well, you look and see where we are at this point, Mark Jones, and you've got to be impressed. And they do really understand that our team is very good and we're dangerous. This is Mike Brown wasn't freaking out about losing to us last night. It's crazy. He's like, I can't be too upset about this because we're due some of these lessons from a team built like the Raptors. And it's very helpful in some ways because they've been rolling so well. And he says, I'm not panicking or anything, but this is a very good team. And they handled this absolutely very, very well. I love that. I love that so much. Like I said, there was balance in the scoring yesterday. We had 6 Raptors in double digits. And this is so much better than like 3 or, something like that. Like we have one guy with almost 40 points, a guy with 25, and then one guy with like 12. That is no good. This is the balance we need from the team overall in scoring, and them looking for each other was really good. One of the big factors for the varied scoring was actually Scotty Barnes, guys. He had 10 assists last night, quietly, very efficiently, a 10 assist game for Scotty. It's too bad he didn't score one of his threes because he would have had a double double. He had 7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. Just a real factor in kind of like getting the ball to different people at different times. I mean, some people may say Scotty didn't have a good game last night, but they would be very, very, very wrong. I don't think that you could say that Scotty had a bad game last night. It's just that he's doing different roles and different things that he's doing. And I think he was very successful in exploring some of the new things about his role as being the guy who's running the offense. So Scotty's successful game, but not one of the stars, a plus 22. OG was interesting. Now, all the controversy with OG yesterday was really pissing me off. And there's still a lot of people that are standing on this hill about OG Anunoby being unhappy and not wanting to be on the Raptors. And they're absolute idiots at this point. Honestly, we saw pictures by Raptors.com put up on IG yesterday of him smiling huge before the game. We didn't see anything to show that he was uncomfortable or unhappy. He came and he started, he played. Now he may not have been 100% completely, and he did take a knock to the face apparently at one point last night. If people didn't realize that or not, he did get hit in the face at one point in the game and had to be sitting for a little while. And that's part of the reason why he wasn't playing late. And Precious was in his spot with the other starters instead. That OG wasn't 100%, and it's not anything. I know everybody's going to read into stupid shit. And they really do. I mean, honestly, I posted that excerpt from Nick Nurse's book, Rapture, that they keep quoting about how OG was upset with Fred. And it's so stupid. In fact, I want to explain this right now. Do y'all understand why he said what he said to Nick Nurse in the book, that he's doing it again is all he said? And you understand what he means and what he's talking about? Well, let's do a little history lesson for some of the newer Raptor fans that are stupid and don't understand what's going on here. All right, listen. This is what's happening. Before, when Kyle was our point guard, we had a very much a traditional point guard role, which is what the point guard brings the ball up the court. He dribbles the ball. Nobody else brings it up. And this is the way the NBA has been for decades. The point guard would be the point guard. They bring the ball up the court. Well, we were starting a new thing with somebody like Pascal Siakam learning to be a point forward and getting little shifts to doing that. Well, at some point around 2020, y'all will know this because if y'all were watching, y'all saw this. We started going to everybody brings the ball up the court. Whoever gets it is most convenient to hurry up the offense in transition. And that meant that Fred did not have to carry the ball every single time up the court. It's what we see with Pascal, Scotty, OG, Gary, different guys. They get the ball and they bring the ball up the court and advance it themselves. They don't have to find the point guard to give him the ball to bring the ball up the court. Well, Nick was trying to change this at that time, and he was trying to get Fred to break the habit of wanting to bring the ball up the court. It has nothing to do with scoring. It has nothing to do with Fred being selfish and wanting the ball to shoot too much. It has to do with him having the natural instinct to get the ball and collect it and bring the ball up the court because that's how he's trained as a point guard. Well, Nick was telling them, I want other people to bring the ball up the court instead of Fred. Because Fred will bring it up sometimes, but it's like how we do it now is very early on when we started doing it that way. Fred had to break the habit of wanting the ball to bring up the court. And the whole excerpt in that book is OG coming to Nick Nurse after practice, and they're talking. And this isn't even OG wanting something. This is Nick Nurse wanting something. This isn't OG. He's basically coming in, he's doing it again. And when he said he's doing it again, it means he is naturally wanting to be the point guard and bring the ball up the court because that is how he's trained. And it wasn't anything like, oh, he's doing it again. He's shooting too much. Oh, he's doing it again. He's being selfish and being a ball hog. No, he's doing it again. He's grabbing the ball because he's a point guard and he's trying to be the point guard. And at this point, we're trying to institute a new system of we bring the ball up with anybody. And that is what this is in all relation to this whole stupid ass quote that everybody keeps pointing to with this OG being unhappy and stuff like that is so dumb. And this was around like 2019, 2020 when this conversation between Nick Nurse and him happened. This is 3 years later. Now, if OG was upset from that talking to each other, well, this would have happened way sooner. Why is this not? Why is he upset about this now? Like, no, he's not. This is so manufactured bullshit by Bob McCown. Once again, fuck you, Bob McCown, and your little gray-haired idiot friend too, and your dumbass shit. Because now, listen, you're giving all these idiots that are really dumb that don't know basketball something to parrot and push as far as evidence or an agenda or something that OG's not happy here. It's so dumb. He is so happy here. Oh my gosh, we saw pictures of him smiling. He is so happy. I don't understand why you people think he's not happy. He rotates and plays defense with the whole rest of the team. He's getting shots. I mean, what did OG do last night? He hit a couple threes, didn't he? He got 3 for 6 from 3, 4 of 9 from the field, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block, a plus 24. He was our highest plus 20, plus minus and 11 points. OG is not unhappy, y'all. OG does not want to be traded. OG is happy being on the Raptors, and all this bullshit from the last couple of days, fuck you, Bob McCown, and every single other person that perpetuated your stupid ass rumor even further. I really do think this has something to do with Jake from State Farm Fisher's stupid ass report from last summer. You know, somebody's saying, oh, I know this source that told Bob McCown what he heard. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, whatever. People are talking out of pocket in all kinds of different dumbass ways these days. Why don't you tell us who the source was then? If you know who the source was on Twitter, just fucking tell us. And then we can suss whether it sounds like it's a worthy rumor or something like that. Either way, I want to put this to rest. The case is closed. OG's not unhappy being on this team. He played very well last night. He's smiling before the game, and he's on a road trip with his best friends trying to win some games. So everybody who thinks he's unhappy, shut the fuck up. You do not know what you're talking about. Yeah, there you go. Now, another point to Tom Duke's point here. I know I'm really taking a long time to get through each comment, but I want to make sure I'm talking about everything I want to talk about today. Sabonis had a career high in turnovers last night. And this has happened a couple times this year. There's something weird about the Raptors. When we play people, their teams get the highest turnovers for their whole entire team. Milwaukee Bucks, Phoenix Suns. These are teams getting high point turnovers against us when they play us. And then players are getting that too. Giannis and Domantas Sabonis last night. And I love that. We saw whenever Sabonis got the ball, he would get swarmed and usually be Fred smacking that ball right out of his hands as he moved it around some way because he's slower than them. And whenever he tried to turn or something, they were right there. They didn't let him do nothing. He couldn't look for the pass or nothing. Slap that ball loose, and then boom, it's just go get it. And boom, we're off and running. It really did mess them up. And it totally made Sabonis ineffective. Because one of the best things about him for their team is he's a hub for passing. And when we take that passing away, well, those three-point shots don't get caught and shot because he's not even getting the ball to them. And that was a very, very effective strategy by a defensive mastermind, Nick Nurse, to employ that with the team. And as he said after the game, they did really well executing it. There were a couple lapses at times where they didn't do as well. But overall, they really did a good effort and really executed the defensive plan for the game last night, and it was highly successful. So I'm really happy about that. And I know that he was very frustrated, Sabonis. He really was. Callie's here. Good morning, Callie Mayer, a great Raptor freak. I think that was the best game I've seen them play. Kept the pedal to the metal the whole time. That's right. They look like the Raptors of last year. They look like a very badass team. Does this team that we saw play last night look like they could do some damage in the playoffs? Yeah, they do. And the other thing about it is, like, look, I wasn't even upset that Nick didn't play a lot of guys off the bench. He actually really measured the minutes very nicely last night for only playing really 8 guys. Nobody got over 38 minutes. Scotty and Freddie both had 38, and then Gary had 36, Pascal had 35, OG 31. And that is really, really good balance of minutes distribution. that once again we saw them going with this late lineup of Boucher and Precious with some of the starters and Fred and Pascal on the bench. And then at a certain point where it seems like, okay, things aren't going exactly right. Boom. Okay, get it back in there, Fred and Pascal, and take this game home. That's a really sound strategy of rotation at this point, Nick. It's worked a couple times in the last week or so. And I think you should continue to employ it. That, sitting Fred and Pascal from the start of the fourth quarter till about like maybe 5 or 4 minutes to go is really, really smart, because these guys are closers in a certain way to help manage and win the game. Siakam hopefully can score better when he's rested at that point, because in some ways he's still not totally like efficient. And I don't like giving him the ball in clutch situations because he's not money. That's the problem. Siakam is not money. He's very consistent scorer and scores a lot. But in any given instance, the outcome of him making the basket is not money. And that's why I don't like him in clutch situations. There's too much of a room for error and for him to not make the basket, whether he gets stopped a little bit by a defensive double team or he makes the shot, puts the shot up, and it somehow just rolls off the rim and he misses it. Money guys are Gary Trent Jr. Money guys are Scotty Barnes. These are guys that you have a lot of confidence that they're going to make something from their areas where they like to shoot from. And that's why I'd rather give them the ball late in the game to hit the big shots. Fred's another one I'll give the ball late in the game to hit big shots. But really smart rotations, once again, by Nick Nurse, even though he barely played his bench. He wanted to put in Joe and Malachi and a couple of the other guys that didn't get to play right at the end of the game, but they didn't get a timeout to bring them in to get a minute or so in the game. They didn't happen. Jimmy saying couldn't watch it, but glad we won. Woo! Well, go and watch it today. Seriously, Jimmy, watch the replay. It's worth rewatching, even though you know the outcome. It's very, very entertaining and fun game. There's a lot of fun stuff that happened into it, like stuff like Precious dunking like crazy and doing crazy ass shit. Gary with some beautiful threes. There's a lot of fun stuff in this game. So I highly recommend you just watch the replay. And you're going to see the Raptors from last year. They're back, baby. Randolph is here. Good morning, beloved Raptor freaks. Most informative game. Blessings to all. What a game it was last night. We almost forgot just how good this team really is. Watching tapes from last season worked. Yeah, I think it did, really, because we did see a better team like last year's team. This is, like a lot of people said, this is the best the defense for the Raptors has looked all this entire season. That we've maybe have found some of what we were doing last year again this year. And what a great time to have found it on this West Coast trip. Let's see if we can continue to duplicate it and have that excellence of that standard of that kind of defensive energy and intensity. It really, really made it hard for the Kings. Mike Brown said they hurried us up and we didn't know how to deal with that pace and things. We panicked and we had made a lot of bad mistakes because of it. So just really, really good. And that's right. They need to remind everybody just how good the Raptors are. And so they will shut up and give them the respect they deserve once again. Their record does not reflect how good they are. And we're going to change that very soon. Trust me, we're going to get that record a little bit better now. Cool Cat is here. Good to see Cool Cat in the AM. What is she saying? Good morning, Raptor Free crew. Great team W to start off a road trip. It's a pity injuries derailed us. Pascal California, Scotty running his own section. Precious is a rising star. Yeah, it is. If we think about the missed opportunities because of our injuries in the first half of the season, yeah, that's part of why I was like, this is what the NBA is all about. You have to have a little bit of luck, skill, and a whole lot of health to be a very successful team in this league. And that there's a couple of different factors. You can control what you can control, but then the luck and the injury stuff is stuff that you have to weather and be able to do well with a good deep roster. And sometimes it's just really hard to do that for teams considering who you lose. And it is a travesty in a way, but it is as it should be. And the lessons for our team were taught and learned because of this. And hopefully they're stronger and better for it going forward in the future. This is a different team than last year in some ways, because they may have reacquired some of the things they did really well last year, but there's a certain level of intelligence and a knowledge accrued since last year because of the turmoil this year that makes this edition even better. than last year because they have been through some stuff with pissed them off, and now they're maybe hungrier this year than they were last year because of their bad record. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. Monique is saying, "Good morning, everyone. What a game! Can you say bench boost? And can you say suck it?" DX in the house. It really was the DX team of Chris Boucher. Precious Achiuwa as the bench boost, a 2-man bench boost, 35 points. Fantastic stuff. Both two of my stars of the game, Chris, Precious, and Pascal. But honestly, I could pick any of these guys in some ways that played last night. Like Fred deserves some credit for sure. Gary Trent Jr., very much credit also. Both those guys shot 7 for 16, 7 for 15. Both made 2 3-pointers. Make a couple more 3-pointers, get a little bit more offense. I'll consider them better. But Fred's a plus 20. Gary's a plus 13. 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks for Fred. That's filling up the stat sheet. 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. Yeah, I love it. Meanwhile, Gary's got 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal, and he's plus 13, 16 points. The double-digit scoring, balanced scoring around, like I said, it very much mirrored what the 905 did yesterday also. They had like 6 guys in double digits also. Very balanced attack by both Raptor teams yesterday on January the 25th, 2023. And yeah, really happy with the overall effort of the Raptors. And in some ways, we kind of met in the middle of the Venn diagram of what Nick Nurse wants and what we want. He doesn't want to play a lot of guys and have a huge rotation of a lot of guys. He played 8 guys last night, but he did them in such an efficient, effective way that we didn't need more bench to flesh out the scoring because we had such good scoring from those 2 guys that Monique was talking about, Precious and Chris. But there was a good contribution also from all 5 of the starters. Scotty only getting 7 points is made up for the fact that he got so many assists, and that balances out everybody giving a good equal contribution that played last night, for the most part. Juancho was just doing kind of things that he does when he comes in, team defense and doing what he does. He's just steady and he doesn't have to score. But every single one of the rest of the Raptors that played had a big contribution to why they won last night. So that's a big part of it, is the spread out, the equality of the attack of the Raptors last night is very, very powerful. Instead of just being like Pascal over and over again, 50 points. No, everybody contributing different, coming at different ways, different people on different possessions. Boom, keep them guessing. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, MSJ's here. Good to see MSJ again. Also good to see the Boucher Precious combo come alive. I think that needs both ways for us. Listen, they're a fantastic friendship. And it's like Precious said after the game, it's like when we play together, we just really enjoy playing with each other. We vibe off each other, and we really love that. Precious started a lot of the games recently, and he didn't start last night. But did this matter to his output and what he did on the court? No, he was very comparable to what he was doing when he was starting, even off the bench. And I like this because this is kind of like what happened with Gary this earlier this season. That it's like they're showing that it doesn't matter whether they start or not, that they can do just as good production coming off the bench, and they'll probably get about the same minutes anyway. So I really love that Precious didn't have a drop off, even though he was taken back to the bench yesterday. That was a big deal and something that could have happened. His stat line could have looked a little bit different just because he didn't start. But no, he came out and he played exactly the same style and intensity and energy anyway. And his stats were just as effective and efficient. So I like that. Paul B is here. Good morning, Paul B. Making to the live stream in the morning. Paul B's up. I love it. Now that was a game. The Raptors team, I thought, was going to win the title and progress from that 5th seed from last year. This is the thing. The NBA is such a weird thing. Last year, it may have seemed like we were much more of a juggernaut, a powerful team in the East. And this year, we're very sullied by a record. But, the playoffs could happen in a whole different kind of way this year. Philadelphia, there was a lot of bad luck in that first round against Philadelphia last year, with injuries and different things like that. And we could have done something better. Well, what if we have good luck going in the playoffs this year, partly because we had so much bad luck during the season, and we get the right opponents for the play-in if we're in the play-in, or if we do make it all the way to the playoffs, we get the right opponent in the playoff in the first round, and we do make it to the second round still this season, even though it seemed like this year we wouldn't because we've been such a bad team with our record. There's a good chance that this could happen still, guys. We want to build off of our success for last year to get to a higher level. Well, we can still do it this year. The opportunity is still there. And that's why I want to dig us out of the mud and get into either the play-in or get a regular playoff spot at number 6. Because I have a feeling that, these guys learned lessons last year against Philly that they're going to take to this year. And we're going to see a much better team in the playoffs if we make the playoffs this year than even last year. Because in some ways, we're more well-rounded. Obviously, we're more mature and we're more developed. And that is going to be something that will be different. I'm excited about it. I want them to make the playoffs because I do feel like we'll get out of the first round this year. Some people may think you're crazy, Lex. Why? We're going to be a lower seed. Well, that's the thing. We could be a lower seed and end up with Cleveland in the first round. And look out. We're going to beat Cleveland if we play them in the playoffs. Seriously. Some people say, you're crazy. That's Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, that's exactly why we're going to beat them. Donovan Mitchell is exactly why. Forgetful saying, oh, good day. 3 stars for Forgetful. Our first team defensive effort, perfect. Second, Nick Nurse, masterful. And third, Pascal, best player on the floor. Honorable mention, Kings fans showing toxic fans how it's done. All right, well, since you brought it up, Forgetful, I want to talk a little bit about the Sacramento Kings arena and their in-game ops. And all the other stuff that was going on there. Really weird, really, really weird, like crowd. Their in-game ops are very weird. Like they're playing video games with the players and Pictionary. And then they're playing it's a really weird in-game ops. It's just not that cool. It's definitely, they need like a Four Corners or they need something cool there because it's really not cool. It's like very uncool. And what a weird, it's just a weird place. I mean, I really respect their fans in this way, that they are diehard and they love that team. And they really do have a passion for the Kings, even through all these bad years and them being bad. These are fans that cheered for Chris Webber. These are fans that cheered for Kenny Smith and Vinny Del Negro in the 80s. And stuff like that. I'm saying these are real King fans. So I don't want to disrespect them because they're real NBA fans and they really, really do care. But their show is so generic. Everything they do in between action on this court is nothing like what we do. It's like we have a Ferrari and they have a little Ford Pinto or something. They have a really shitty car, average Hyundai or something. And we're driving a Ferrari as far as our in-game experience and the ops and stuff like that with all the flash and the quality and just everything's going. Yeah, I'm watching their stuff in between. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean, seriously. It's pretty funny. But, listen, I can't diss them. They're a passionate fan base. And they're really you stuck by their team through hard times. So I have a lot of respect for that in a lot of ways. So, yeah, Kings fans showing how toxic fans, how it's done. I don't know how toxic they were. They were just kind of bumps on the log watching the game. Seymour's here. Good to see Seymour Pape. A King is no match against a Raptor. Teared to shreds. Yes, Seymour Pape. Yes. We'll have to see how the real mascot matchup goes. Although he wasn't really fighting a king, he was looking to become a king himself and king himself over that king, like in checkers. King me. I made it. Checkers. King me. So yeah, we'll have to see how the real mascot matchup goes tomorrow. Monique saying, congratulations, Chris, on your documentary. Did anyone else watch it other than Shane? I did not watch it myself. I don't technically have TSN, but I'll find a way to watch it at some point. But it's getting a lot of shine in different places right now. I'm looking at a thing from Javon Shepard he posted on Twitter. The Chris Boucher documentary is candid, honest, real. The grind, injury, trauma, triggers, family, poverty, immigration, mental health, hurt, disappointment, determination, dreams, trust. Grind now, shine later. The Chris Boucher story. Check it out on Crave. Check it out on your local listings from TSN. You can maybe catch it on the TSN channel itself. But yeah, that show is out now. Chris Boucher's Grind Now, Shine Later. Fantastic documentary I'm hearing, and people are watching it like Shane Waters, and their eyes are open to things about Chris's past that we didn't totally realize. And it'll make you probably really, really respect and love him even more for his journey and where he got to here. I have not watched it yet, so I cannot give you my reaction to it yet, but I will watch it as soon as I can, Monique, and let you guys know how I feel about it. Evelyn's saying, "Good morning, Raptor Free Crew." Yes. And what a game. And Precious is a revelation last night. Love the way he played. So aggressive, so athletic, just a stud out there. Like, let's seriously, like this dude is crazy good. Like when he showed up to the Raptors last year, I was like, man, he's really wild. Like he's not very like fundamental or something. I worry about him turning the ball over, just the way he's so aggressive and so energetic and moving. Well, he said recently that he's always played at a high pace on purpose to be very much practicing control and very frenetic, chaotic kind of energy. And he really does have on the underlying a very much sound control in this like chaotic looking stuff that he's doing. He really has practiced this way. And he's very confident in this way. Like we may see him dribble a certain way or do a move, and you'll be like, oh no, he's going to turn the ball over. Oh no. But no, he knows exactly what he's doing because this is how way he's practiced and always played. And I love it because honestly, it's scary to other teams. Like, I don't know if I was a coach of another team and the Precious, I was playing against him, I'd be like, this dude is very dangerous. And he's like going to attack the rim and just throw it down on people at any moment because his first step is really quick too. That's another underrated thing we're not talking about Precious enough is that he has a really good burst first step that gets around people and leaves them in the dust. And I love that about him. And so much to love about him, Granny Evelyn. And I'm so here for it. In fact, I want Precious to stay as long as possible too. Like I feel like he is such an important part of our history, our future to come also. And that I want to see Precious Achua hold a ring in his hand and say he is a Toronto Raptor NBA champion. Because he seems like that kind of guy that needs to have that ring and be in a Raptors jersey. I don't want to see him go somewhere else where he's about to blossom because we let him go. He needs to stay here, Masai. And I know that you have wanted him on this team for a long time, and you worked really hard to get him here by sacrificing the GOAT, Kyle Lowry. So I don't think you would take it lightly to let Precious walk at any time. I think we're going to cinch him up, and he will be in the long-term plans because it just seems like he has so much to offer that we're still just scratching the surface with him. And that first step, woo-hoo-hoo, that's like, look, he turns on the burners, he go right around you, and he's getting to that rim. And then once he's at the rim, look, he can contort himself. He has enough strength to hold you off and still do things with his one hand, and he can just like lay it in and do stuff. And he's very effective. So yeah, I'm loving it too, Evelyn. Woo-hoo, I'm loving it too. Fiercey Salsera's here. Good morning to Fiercey. Good morning, fam. What a win. Our defense was superb. Understatement, really. We locked Sabonis in big time. You could see the frustration on many occasions. Loved it. Next up, Golden State Warriors. That's right, Fiercey Salsera. I'm excited too. Listen, we can do some damage now. Listen, each game, we take them each game at a time. Now we can start thinking about the Warriors, who are playing a little bit better than the last time we saw them. And they're still very much the Warriors with the Warriors kind of stuff. But there are things about their season this year that haven't gone completely smooth. And I'll do the check on them tonight, and I'll have it all ready for you guys for the preview tomorrow. I don't know exactly where they are with injuries or whether they've been winning exactly or not. I do know that they've been winning a bit more recently than they were in December, when they were really a lot like us. At that time, they had been losing just as much as we had been losing too. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see which version of the Golden State Warriors we're going to get tomorrow night. And we're coming in with the new version of us that they didn't see the last time they saw us in Toronto. And they're going to be ready to see a new version of the Raptors just in a month since they've seen them. So I love it. Golden State, you're up next. Seymour saying, I hope Steph throws his mouthpiece against us too in disgust. We need these games. Dub over the dubs. Yeah, we need these games. This is very true, Seymour. Our record needs these games so bad. Our guys need these games to show the rewards of hard work and get that steam rolling. because the more you get success from doing the hard work, the more intensified or more solidified you're like, yeah, this is working. Let's keep going. The more confident you get. So it's like we want to get a string of wins at this point now that we fix things. And I'm telling you, like this is going to happen. I don't think that Golden State is as good as they were last year. Obviously, their record isn't as good. They've had more injury problems. So we need to beat their ass Friday night. Yeah, we need to beat their ass. Monique is saying my 3 stars of both games are Pascal, Chris, and Fred. She liked Fred in that one. Fred was really good in the game yesterday. And he was solid. And anybody who's hating on him, I'm sure they're gonna figure out how to hate on him for what he did last night, even though he wasn't the main guy, he wasn't horrible, and he wasn't like in charge of anything very, very important at the end of the game that mattered. They're gonna still figure out some way to hate Fred. By showing some clip from like 5 years ago and saying, oh, this is him saying this now. I'm like, no, this is from the last time he did his contract negotiation. So, yeah, it's so dumb. And for the 905, you say David Johnson, Reggie, and Ron. You cannot leave out Sterling Brown in that 905 game yesterday. He was just sublime and crazy the way he was scoring. He was fantastic, honestly. And I'm excited about the 905 level at this point. Eric Khoury is actually starting to gain my respect because he's doing a really good job with certain things in this new season. He didn't do a good job in the season, the first part of the season for 905, that showcase part of the season. But he's doing a much better job now in the real regular season of the 905 in the G League. So I'm excited. I want to see more from him doing good stuff. So I'm excited. Eric Khoury's doing a good job finally. And Christian was talking about in his interview, Christian Koloko, talking about getting information or getting help from Christian Siakam, who's with the 905 team as an assistant coach. That it's really nice to have Christian Siakam on that coaching staff with him, for different reasons. Because listen, they speak the same language. They speak French. They speak a couple languages. And he can be more familiar help on the bench. In some ways, Christian Siakam can kind of be like a personal coach to Koloko because they're Cameroonian connection and a trust that Christian Koloko has in Christian Siakam because of Siakam Pascal. So, yeah, it's very, very cool that Christian was talking about his connection with Siakam Christian after the game and how he's helping him specifically in the 905 G League. So I like that. I like all that. All right, let's keep going. G saying Precious is very confident in the team, and that is as big as this game. That's in some ways he is the confidence like flag bearer for our team. In some ways, we needed that confidence flag bearer when he was hurt those 2 months. And then now that he's back, it's like he may be dumb, blind confidence and maybe sometimes folly. But in some ways, when you're that dumb, blind confident, it can actually really add up to things being good and working things out in certain ways. So I'm excited about Precious and him being the confidence leader on this team. In a lot of ways, he is exactly that. He's our leader for confidence. Angry Mexicans here. Let's see what Charlotte Hornets fans saying this morning. Good morning to you. If I told you in the beginning of the season that Raptors wouldn't be in the play-in going into the month of February, would you call me a troll? You know what? Listen, yeah, I would have because listen, this is the thing. I can't forecast injuries, Angry Mexican. I can't. I don't know. If I just thought that the Raptors would go in the season and not have injury problems in the first half of the season, yeah, I would have said you're crazy. I wouldn't. I don't know if I would have said you're a troll. I would have just said you're crazy. You're crazy. We're too good for that, and that's true. That is exactly true. So the logic of what you're saying, well, it's true. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. I would have told you you're crazy at that point. But that's with me thinking, okay, they're just going to be healthy and they're not going to have any issues like what they did. And I think that any NBA expert or any person in the world that knows about the Raptors really well would say the same thing. Well, yeah, we would have thought you were crazy to tell us that we wouldn't even be a play-in team at this point in the season because of our injuries. Well, we couldn't foresee the injuries to understand that this is why we would be at this point near the end of January. So, I mean, it's a weird question you're asking. I'll be honest. Yeah, I would have told you you're crazy. I wouldn't have called you a troll. Troll's a different action. This is a crazy statement, is what it would have been. The reality of it all played out where it did get to this point. But at that point, projected it No, I wouldn't have said that we'd be at this record at this time. Of course not. We were way better than this. And even the Sacramento Kings announcer said this last night. They said this Raptors team's actually like a top 4 Eastern team. That's from their mouths. That's not us. That was from the Kings announcers, Mark Jones and Katie Christensen. That this Raptors team, this is what they said at the end of the game. This Raptors team's actually a top 4 Eastern team. The one they saw last night, they shut down their really top rated offense. Yeah, this is true. We always were a top 4 team this whole time. It's just we weren't healthy. And that's what I would say to that. Cool Cat saying Pascal Scotty is the duo that we need in this team for our chip run. Then OG, then Precious. That's our defensive core for a chip run that I would bet my money on. Well, this is really important, those 4 guys, because of their interchangeability. That once again, the strength of positionless basketball was evident in the game last night and was a huge factor in why we won last night. The switching, it doesn't matter who you switch off of. You're not going to get in a mismatch against us. In fact, you're going to have mismatches against you more often than not with your offense because we're just switching quicker, faster, bigger, longer guys all over the place. And as they put it, our hands were everywhere last night. They put it anywhere in the ball and anywhere in the lane. Our hands are just on it. And it's smacked around. It's deflected. It's this way. We get the ball all of a sudden. It's like, it's not your ball, Sacramento. It's our ball. You're just holding it for us for a second. Oh, yeah, give it back to us. Here we go. We're taking it back right now. It was a lot of that. And that's what I'm saying. That's a strength that we hadn't been utilizing correctly this season yet. Well, maybe we can get back on track on using our positionless scheme in a very effective way. We have different looks. We basically have a look with Fred out there and then a look that's positionless. When Fred's out there, we run it more traditional, like with a point guard and kind of Fred running things. But then when he's out of there, it becomes this positionless thing that we've been doing the last year or so. It's fantastic. And it's very, very effective defensively in certain ways if we do it the right way. And that's part of the problem, too, is we weren't rotating and doing defense correctly before. Well, they watched the tape from last year. Maybe they saw what they're not doing this year, and they changed back. And they're doing it better now as of last night. And that's the thing. That positionless defense, when it's rotated and communicated effectively, is deadly and will shut the water off on anybody. And then we go back to what Pat Connaughton said to JakesTakes. Well, that's going to be real helpful when it really matters because we're really good at shutting the water off. And the time of the season when everybody's going to be trying to shut everybody's water off, we're going to be very good at it. We're going to be shutting people's water off. Trust me. Yeah, that's our defensive core for a chip run. I would love that to be. Those 4 guys are very important in this team, and I want them to stay here as long as possible. Monique saying 6 threes for Sterling Brown. Wow. I know. And the fact that he barely missed any of them, Monique, that's incredible. He was just very efficient to me. And the fact that he came off the bench, and plus he just showed up. He hadn't been playing with them recently. He'd been with the Lakers, and he came right back in and integrated himself back on the 905 very easily. And that's fun because in some ways Christian hasn't been there that very long either. And they're kind of just like playing basketball the right way is what Christian put it. He's like, I don't know these guys totally well, but I just come here and try and play basketball the right way and everything works out. And that's really the right way to do it because the NBA is so in flux with teammates and different players and things happening on your team all the time. You need to be ready to play with a changing cast of characters around you all the time. And Christian just staying a certain way himself and doing it a certain way, his MO will help him. Like Siakam is helped by his MO. That you just need to be set up and prepare and do it the same way, regardless of your G League or on the main roster. And Christian's being a very good pro right now. And in fact, I really love what I'm seeing down there. Like I said, we can cut out some of the turnovers, some of the fouls, some of the missed shots. But he is showing some very interesting stuff in those 905 games right now. And you'll get to see him again today, 7:30 tonight. Mississauga Paramount Food Center, Raptors 905 Birmingham Squadron tonight, 7:30. Check it out. Let's see. Seymour Pape is saying, why did Enes Kanter sue the NBA? This is a heavy question, and this is crazy. This whole situation with him is a unique situation that's never happened in the history of the NBA. He's a political prisoner in some ways. He's a political refugee. Like he has escaped Turkey and he is an enemy of the state of Turkey's government at this point. They had put a bounty out on him of like $500,000 that they took somebody to kill him. The country of Turkey. So it's a political situation. in which, this is what happened. He was on a team like what, the Celtics or something a couple years ago. He changed his name to Freedom, Enes Freedom, and he became more political, outspoken about the problems in Turkey with genocide and Armenians and all kinds of different things that are happening in that country that are very bad. Like there's dictator kind of stuff that's happening in that country. And he's for freedom, he's for rights, he's for democracy. And he is very much a hero, but he's been very outspoken about it, and he's put a target on him. And the NBA has blackballed him since. He's blacklisted. He's not playing in the league. And he's saying it's because of this political stuff that no team wants to take on the extra security risk. No team wants to be involved with him at all. And in some ways, he's getting treated like Colin Kaepernick did by the NFL. And that's why he's suing them, is because he feels like he's been blacklisted by the league because of his political beliefs. And, his political beliefs are correct. That's the thing. He's on the right side, and he's in a very tough spot. He's very much in danger right now. And I don't think he's in the U.S. anymore either. I think he's in another country he's trying to stay safe in. But yeah, that's why, in a nutshell, Seymour, is that he's putting his neck on the line for his political beliefs and being outspoken against his own home country, which has disowned him and now has put a bounty on his head. So he's very much it's an interesting story that not everybody understands, because it's very awful and very important what he's standing for, but nobody's really supporting him in the right way. The NBA is not supporting him in the right way because it's a political football that's hard to touch. And you're like, oh, you don't want that. No, we don't want that. It's like, no, we don't even want to get involved in this. We're already very political. But this is a whole other level of like foreign political like policy that maybe we don't want to get involved with, because we'll maybe like cause some problems. So that's basically it in a nutshell. He feels like he's been blacklisted from the NBA and they will not give him a job. And he feels like he's still good enough to play. And he sees like he's making comments and stuff. He sees like really horrible players playing. He's like, I'm better than this guy. Why am I not in this league? He's saying stuff like that on Twitter right now. It's crazy. Jimmy Pope saying, I watched the highlights and liked what I saw. Big dubs, baby. Yeah, they just really locked in. There's a lot of good communication on the floor. I think Scotty is really reveling and relishing being a more vocal leader on the court. And, they're just really picking and choosing their moments really well off of each other. This is the thing. This team cannot afford to be selfish to play the way they need to play to win. They all have to be very much looking out for each other, setting each other up, and having good stuff happen off of each other. And if these guys were selfish or cared only about themselves and didn't really like and work really well together, it wouldn't work the way we're doing things. So they have to be bought in and all on the same page. So there can't be anything selfish about Fred or OG or Gary or Scotty or Pascal. These guys cannot afford to be selfish because that will equal losing. And they know that. So there we go. I love it. G saying the CEO of MLSE stepped down last year, and trolls are trying to say it's recent and tying it into the Raptors team. Shaking my head. This is a crazy thing. It's like they're not paying attention to the news. They want to bring up old news and put it in our face to make it something new. They're really trying hard. This is the thing, G. Listen, understand this. If they're coming out of the woodworks with Fred VanVleet this, OG Anunoby this, MLSE chairman steps down this, all old news. This is because they're scared, because they've seen the writing on the wall. They've seen what we've seen this weekend, that we're about to turn the corner and we're going to be a force again. And they want to stomp our fire out. In some ways, people have been very happy the Raptors have struggled so much this season. There's people that hate us, these Gargamel motherfuckers. They're like, yes, that's right. The Raptors are a losing team and not even in the play-in. And, well, they see the signs of life starting to turn that around. Well, they may try and put a little bit more feet on that fire to try and continue to extinguish our flame. And that's really what I think this is. This is a last-ditch attempt of very much a Hail Mary by a bunch of fucking Raptor haters trying to bring us down right before we come up out of it. And that's what it is, G. You hear this intensifying right now because they see what's happening. And things are about to get real good for us. So this is their last-ditch attempt to sink our ship. Fuck y'all who are trying to sink our ship with bullshit, old-ass news, recycled. Fuck y'all with your bullshit, made-up stories, Bob McCowan. All you motherfuckers trying to submarine the Raptors because they're already down. Well, we're coming up, and you can't stop it. You can't stop this, you pieces of shit that are trying to make us have a horrible year in all kinds of different ways, whether it's you schedule makers, whether it's whoever the fuck you are, bad refs calling fucking hit jobs, whoever the fuck you are. Yeah, you're not going to hold us down. Information war motherfuckers, fans from other teams trying to get us to fucking turn on Fred. All you motherfuckers, they've been trying to do all this shit to Raptors fan nation. Fuck all y'all. We're going to come out of this too much to your chagrin. We will get out of this. And this is why they're intensifying their attacks, G, is because they know it's happening. Seymour's saying, la 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 la. Rico Hines is my star of the game, giving up the Kings' weaknesses. Yes, Seymour, babe. I love it. Let me just talk about Rico real quick. On his Instagram, there's a picture of him having his skills factory in Sacramento. Of course, Rico was in the community of Sacramento for many years. It's kind of his home. It's like his home city in some ways, even though he's from out east. But yeah, he had a basketball camp with a bunch of youngsters yesterday in Sacramento. There's nice pictures of him interacting with the youth, with him and Earl Watson, teaching the kids, giving back to Sacramento community. This was a camp that was advertised for a couple of weeks now, that he would be there just for this day, and these kids could come in and get some Rico Hines runs with Rico Hines himself. Good, fantastic stuff by Rico, running his skills camp yesterday in Sacramento with Earl Watson. Just love seeing that kind of stuff. Yeah, thanks for bringing him up. And hey, we'll give him some credit. It must have been a little weird for him to be sitting in Sacramento's arena on our bench, seeing as he was on that other bench for a couple years, and he really was a part of their franchise, and that was his home building. It's always weird for players that get traded or coaches that would switch teams when they see their former team. So I'm sure it was a little bit of a bittersweet game for him last night, but I'm sure he's very happy that we won. That Kings bench has a whole bunch of Raptors connections on it. Leandro Barboza, Doug Christie, Jay Triano. It's pretty fun to see the Raptor connections to the Kings franchise, and we do have a lot of them. Doug Christie is much more of a Kings legend than he is a Raptors legend. But we all forget just how important he was for the Raptors for a little while as our best stealer. He was really like Gary Trent Jr. back in the day for us. And, we need to recognize Doug Christie as a great Raptor also in our history and not forget that. Leandro is another great Raptor from back in the day. Jay Triano was an okay coach, but I won't give him too much credit. But yeah, the connections between the Kings and the Raptors are very strong in certain ways. Terrence Davis, there's another one. We didn't see him play last night. They have this really, all right, talking about the in-game ops for the Sacramento Kings arena. They have one little dance cam. You know how they had the different cams? They had the Lion King cam that we had at Scotiabank Arena recently. Well, they did the wavy advertisement guy on the side of the street cam, where you're that thing that like goes in the wind like this. And well, Terrence Davis was doing his motion of that in the video. Is hilarious. So yeah, that's really weird in-game ops for Sacramento's arena. Really, really weird. Really, really weird. Awkward kiss cam, all kinds of weird stuff in it. Yeah. Let's see. Callie's saying, I just love the defensive presence of the dynamic duo of Precious and Boucher. Their effort and energy is awesome. Yeah, they have different kinds of places that they put their energy into it. Like Chris obviously is this crazy maniac crashing the boards. Like he really is like plotting his attack and his angle of attack to go at the rim, to get up there and grab the rebound and try and put it right back. And he's really, really timing it well and really, really smart about how he does it. And that energy is fantastic. In fact, I noticed last night in the first quarter, when the Raptors in the first quarter, the starters started to have a little bit of a lull and a little bit of like, okay, the Kings are starting to kind of outplay us. You can kind of feel it because we started really well and we had the lead right away. Well, when it felt like we're kind of having our first little lull, he waved to them and Chris came running, obviously, because he always does. And then Precious got up and walked over. And I was like, really smart. I was like, man, that's really good time for him to put them in, because it started to feel like the Kings were starting to get good things going in the first quarter finally. And when they put them in, well, there was a whole other level of energy that they got bombarded with, literally, by people like Precious and Chris bombarding the glass and just like boarding crazy on offense. Like they really do go after those offensive rebounds. And Precious is so good about ending the possession on the defensive end too. And that's the thing. That's a big thing. It's like I said, defensive rebounding is so underrated in this league. People don't value it the way that they used to in the NBA at this point. And being a very good defensive rebounder is a very important NBA skill. And Precious is our best defensive rebounder on our team. He really is. He really is. All right, let's keep going. Fiercey saying high energy game and was so happy to see how the Raps kept up with the Kings' fast pace. I would even say we dictated the pace. Amazing. Now, this is a weird, like, kind of like oxymoronic thing about the game last night, Fiercey, is like, yeah, sure, there was pace. There definitely was quickness to this game. There definitely was a tempo that was high, and like we were aggressive and like quick and bursts, but also it was a very grind kind of like defensive game too because of the score. It's like, how did that work that way? Whereas, like, okay, is it like a hurry up and stop, or is it just we were playing so good on defense, we limited them to their scoring, but we are still playing a high up tempo pace up and down the court? How did that like come to be in that way? Because it does seem like they're very counterintuitive to happen together, that we could have this crazy pace to the game, but still have it be a defensive effort where they scored 95 points. I really like that. I really like that we did dictate that pace and that they were uncomfortable with it and that they couldn't score like they normally did, and we still could. Yeah, that was really good. That was really, really good. Race Mode Daily saying, good morning, freaks. I won't be able to watch last night's game till later. Raps win. Let's go. You're going to enjoy it, Edmund. Go ahead and take your time, watch it when you can, just enjoy it. Even though you know the outcome, it's a lot of fun to watch. It just is. You're going to see our team be much more capable once again, and we're going to feel like we did last year with how good they can be. G saying race mode, it was the best game of the season. They look like one unit. Yeah, this is all true. Their defense showed up from last year. Honestly, this is true. This is their best game of the season so far, and they're going to do even better. They're going to have a couple more games on this road trip where we're going to say this is their best game of their season. Watch. I'm going to predict that right now. You're going to have another game like that coming up very soon in the next 5 days. Blackhawks saying Nick Nurse is actually understanding his rotations with the gems that he has. That is why the front office did a good job in the offseason. It's on Nick Nurse to make it work. And boy, is it working the last few games. Yeah, he's really he's smart. He's smart. Listen, like I said, he can have only 8 guys play, but if he really balances the minutes between those 8 guys, I have no problem with it. And in a way, what he's doing right now is his playoff rotation. Those 8 guys will probably be his main guys for the playoffs, including Juancho. Now, how do you mix in somebody like Christian Koloko, different people that you might want to use in different places? Well, maybe Christian is also in that rotation for sure when he's back with the main team. But, you never know. And this is kind of like a shortened rotation. This was very much like a playoff rotation that he used last night. And it worked really well. It worked really well. And there wasn't any laboring. Once again, we're not seeing the Raptors look totally exhausted at any point. That's the whole thing, Nick. You got to make sure none of your guys' energy bars are getting into the red if this was a video game. You got to keep them all in the yellow at the least. And then if they're in the yellow, you got to go put them on the bench and get them back into the green for some point, because that's been really helpful. And this is a big difference in the effort on the court is how fresh and how tired they are. If they're completely spent, then you're screwed. And you can't do that. You already messed up if you put them out there and they're completely tired. And I think he's realizing this, and he's actually you're right, he's getting a lot better with this. That's the thing. The front office did a good job. Everybody just wants to blame somebody when things aren't exactly right. Well, what if it's just like everything's a little bit off and it just switches and nobody's to blame because it is all still working. It's just that everything was a little bit off. And now everything's happening, and I'm glad we didn't, react too quickly and say, "Oh, it's your fault. You're fired." Get rid of somebody. If we just stay together and figure it out and get through it, and that's what we're doing this year, and I love it. We're getting through it. Omari's here. Good to see Omari. King's mascot looked up the Eagles fan. Locked up the Eagles fan in the boiler room. Yeah, that was a weird. Like I'm saying. All right, more about the Sacramento Kings in-game ops. They played this game where they spin a fan from the crowd, blindfolded around in a circle, and he's supposed to find Slamson, the lion, Slamson. And the crowd's supposed to tell him where he is by booing or cheering, hot or cold. And this dude, he had a Philadelphia Eagles shirt. I don't know. I'm not watching the NFL, so I know that the Eagles just did something that pissed some team off in their area. I don't even know which team it is because I don't know what Sacramento team is out there. It's like, what is it? There's the Oakland Raiders. No, they're Las Vegas now. What team are they rooting for? Or who are they upset about? I don't even know. It's the Rams, aren't they in St. Louis or something? I don't even know which fucking team is in California that they're upset about with the Eagles. I don't know because I didn't watch. But everybody's mad at the Eagles apparently in Sacramento. And he kept opening the shirt and twirling around, and it was all set up. It was stupid, and I don't understand why that guy would follow Slamson right out of the building like that if the crowd isn't helping him. So there's a little bit of flaws in logic in the writing of that whole skit. And yeah, he led him right out of the arena. It was actually the street. That wasn't even the boiler room. He took him right out of the building, and he was in the alleyway next to the building. Oh, it was so stupid, Omari. That's what I was saying. Like the in-game ops for Sacramento is really dumb. There's a really, really dorky, dumb shit happening in between the game in the commercial break. Trust me, I found that out last night. Monique saying Golden State's record, though. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Their record is not that good, and they've had trouble this year. They've been very human. We're going to have to see how we can deal with them. I did not like the way we lost to them here in Toronto, short-handed. They did not have all their guys, and they beat us with like Jordan Poole. And I don't like that. I want to very much beat them for sure in their building. We got Sacramento get back for them coming to Toronto and beating us. Well, we need to do the same to Golden State. Yeah, with this game coming up for sure. Shane Waters is saying, good morning, freaks. It's go time. I don't even know how to do that Billy Madison voice. Now you're all in big, big trouble. Teams ain't ready for the Raps. Been lurking in the tall grass. Now it's time to feast. Let's go, Raps. I'm trying to do Adam Sandler. I'm not, I kind of do a little bit of him, I guess. That was kind of okay. Spicy P22 is here. Love the way Scotty is playing. Yeah, Spicy P22. Thanks for coming in. 9:30 a.m. every single day. We're talking Raptors. So hopefully you'll join us more often. Hit that subscribe button like you have already. And I appreciate you being here. Love the way Scotty is playing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody stay off his back. And let Scotty just be Scotty because the good stuff's coming, baby. We have no reason to be worried about whether Scotty's going to be productive or a good player. He can be productive and a good player and not even have to score a lot. I've been saying this a couple times this season that he's more like a Jason Kidd than like a bona fide superstar, like I'm the man, like LeBron James kind of thing. He is a guy who's going to get you a lot of assists and a lot of everything and whatever you need. And the great thing is he's taller and he can do a lot of low post stuff like a center. So, man, there's so much about Scotty to like. And the great thing about what he's doing now is he's literally switching what his role is on any given play according to who the other personnel we put out there on the court with the Raptors is. That he may play a certain way when he's out there with Fred, but when Fred's not on the court, he plays a whole different kind of way. And he's seamlessly switching. And there's no kind of janky, weird, like awkwardness to that, having to switch that role like that so much in the game like that. And that's fantastic. That really shows how smart and mature and wise he is as far as like knowing how to play with each individual unit that he gets set up with the other Raptors around him. I really do love that. Forgetful saying Fred is absolutely key to this team's defense. Cool Cat, 38 minutes, maybe 2 small mistakes, providing plenty of help defense, probably the most powerful hands on the team, clamping on the ball, etc. Yeah, ask Demonis DeBonis about Fred's hands and how strong they are. He can tell you. And that man is way taller and outweighs Fred, but still, this man's strong enough to just pull the ball out of Sabonis's hands. And he did it repeatedly last night. And that's the fun thing. This is the thing. Raptor haters, I mean, Fred haters. I should just say Fred haters or Raptor haters. Do you guys not understand all the intangibles and special things that Fred has? Like if he was like a playable character in a video game, he would have a certain special abilities on it that you'd be like, wow, this is really cool. And one of them is that steal the ball, like get your hand on it and just wrench it out of anybody's hand. It doesn't matter if it's this little point guard he's guarding or it's the very biggest guy on the other team. He can take that ball out of their hands. It doesn't matter how strong they are. He's just so good at it. He just wrenches it right out of their hands. And that's a special ability that not everybody in this league has. So that's what I'm saying. We got to understand all the special abilities. Sure, our guys have weaknesses, but there's strengths to each and every one of our players that are fantastic also. And don't discount Fred VanVleet's strengths and the things that he does very, very well. when you're talking about why he's bad and why we need to get rid of him and all the stupid ass shit y'all Fred haters have been saying recently. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bam. All right, Logical Raptors fanatic is here. Mike is here. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Great game. Solid on both ends. Really clean. Yeah, clean on the defense, and the offense did not stagnate for too long. There were a little bit of periods where it was like a little bit like, we need to score, but nothing too panicky. And also, I really like how Nick took some of the timeouts he took, really stopping momentum for the Kings when they were starting to try and get a little bit going when we were up by 20. They get it close to like maybe 12 or 10, and you're like, no, timeout. And then we get that lead grow a little bit more again in the second half. Really, really smart usage of timeouts. Just very well coached by Nick Nurse. So once again, let's give some kudos to people who've been maligned recently. All you motherfuckers that want to fire Coach Nick Nurse, you're idiots. We just saw him coach a very perfect game against the top offense in the NBA right now. So yeah, you go ahead and eat a dick. Nick Nurse haters also. Because I'm telling you, this man is a good coach. We saw him do a really good job with his rotations and his timeouts and just decision making in general. He had a fantastic game plan, obviously. He really nullified Sabonis. And what did Fox do? Did Fox do anything last night? Everybody's worried about Fox. Oh, Fox is going to do this. What did he do? 16 points? Well, that's not bad. 7 to 12, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 turnovers. You know, they had a lot of turnovers for their side. Herter, he hurt us a little bit. Sure. 5 of 9 from 3, 8 of 12 from the field. You know, not a bad game by him with 21 points, their leading scorer. You know, Keegan Murray, the rookie, 6 of 10 from the field, 4 3-pointers by him. My fantasy team was not unhappy with that. 16 points for Keegan Murray. You know, but really nobody's special off the bench. Nothing super special or great. They all kind of shot poorly. Just a really good effort by the Raptors collectively, outplaying the Kings collectively. The team stats. We got 24 more shots than them and made 13 more field goals overall than them. And we shot 49.5%. They shot 48%. So we did technically outshoot them, made more shots, took more shots, and had a better, higher percentage. That's fantastic. The three-pointers, this was an area where we could have gotten in a little bit of trouble with their firepower, but we only had one less three-pointer than them. 13 threes for them, 12 for us. So we hung with them with the threes and not letting them get a huge point differential by making way more threes than us. They did shoot 41% from three, and we only shot 30, but that was all made up by manufacturing way more shots from the offensive glass and just steals and getting 24 more shot attempts for the Raptors overall. Now, the refs were interesting. I liked the crew last night. They were very much letting them play, which really kind of helped our style of play with defense and physicality. And that's something that, if we're consistently playing with that defense and physicality, they can't call the fouls repeatedly over and over again and try and put us in a box. So they'll just let us play at a certain point. And that's a big, huge part of why we were so good defensively. The fact that we only got 7 free throw attempts, well, that's just the way it was last night. They wanted to let us play. So that I was okay with that because it suited our style. And it very much hurt the Kings more than it hurt us that they were just letting us play and didn't put us on the free throw line. They got the line way more than us, 12 of 13, 92%. And we were 5 of 7, 71%. But that didn't really matter. That was not a factor. And it was funny because at the beginning of the game, the Sacramento announcers were saying one of the keys to the game is don't foul the Raptors and put them on the line. Well, so you were successful. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Y'all didn't foul us, but it didn't matter. We really did out-rebound them. 11 offensive rebounds, fantastic. 41 rebounds to 34 for the Raptors. We got the magic number of assists, 28 assists. I love seeing that. I knew they were going to get it because they had 16 assists at the half, and I was like, they're going to get their 25 today. Really happy about that. 12 steals, really big. Their 19 turnovers to our 10 were a big factor. Points in the paint, 58 to 42. Just a really good all-around effort by the Raptors. and messing up the Kings and their good stuff that they've had going lately. They really did mess them up. Carlos here. Good morning, fellow freaks. Great game last night. Looks like we're finally breaking through. Yeah, I would say that, Carlo. I mean, like I said this weekend, I saw the signs. I've been saying this like Ace of Base. I saw the signs and it opened up my eyes. I saw the signs that the Raptors are going to get better now. And I really do think they will get the playoffs. You got an Ace of Base parody song today. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, seriously, us that are paying attention like the Raptor Freaks do, we knew that we were turning the corner and we're starting to show the real stuff. And that we should be confident in seeing more and more good efforts and more wins for the Raptors going forward because we are breaking through, Carlo. I believe that. Logical saying, forgetful, big facts. Fred is back in rhythm and Precious is back too. The film session on last year's defense looks back and really clicking. Sabonis had a 23-game streak of double-doubles stopped by us. Yeah. We're messing things up, like he had some good things going and he couldn't get those good things against us. We made him have a career high in turnovers last night instead. There you go. Kenrick saying Scotty plus the bench looks strong. It's a fun unit. It's just a fun unit. Nick's so smart that he's finally mixing them up together. Like put a little bit of Juancho and Precious out there with Gary and Pascal, mix it up and you will find success. You don't have to dilute the talent on the court all the way to like I'm playing 5 bench guys all the time, Nick. You can really keep the good talent level up high with just a couple of bench guys mixed with the starters. And you're doing that now. And that's really helpful. Before you were really doing like line shifts like hockey, where you have the 5 starters, overplay the hell out of them, and then little brief periods of time, you'll have all 5 bench guys out there, and they would really hurt us. You can't do that. You're doing it right now. I really like it. Mike saying Boucher had a monster game, sharing the ball, solid rotations on both ends, good box outs, 8 in the passing lanes hard, pressured the ball to take the ball like whenever we wanted. Just watch the replay. Yeah, and what a great night for Chris to have a really good game because, he has his new documentary out. So in some ways, he was having one of the best nights of his life ever. A good basketball game, a brand new documentary out on him on TV. Yeah, Chris, you're winning, bro. You are winning at life, man. I just got to say that. You're winning, bro. You're winning, Chris. You go. Yeah, really fun stuff. And I do really like what Chris is doing. He's staying within his role, and he's being very smart. Very smart, Mike. Carlos saying Scotty looking like a maestro, conducting his offense, directing traffic in offense. So now we have 2 styles of play, one with the starters and the bench unit with Scotty directing everything. Yeah, and I won't even say that bench unit is necessarily just always with Scotty. It has different looks. Like you can have that bench unit out there with Fred kind of directing those guys too. There's all kinds of different combinations that he can still try and do different things with. But I think we really do kind of know our top 7 guys at this point. It's the starters with Precious and Chris. And that those 7 guys are going to be like deep in the playoff, like main guys that will play a lot of heavy minutes. And that may be our main core as far as like who we're going to want to play in playoff situations later this year. So, yeah, I do really like how he's differentiating Scotty's role between when he's with the starters and when he's with the bench. It's very different. Fiercely saying Juancho doesn't score, but his presence is definitely felt and helpful. Not quite sure how I can explain it, but I definitely see why Nick keeps giving him minutes. Well, it's what it is. It's just that he has a very much a spirit like European style ball that's very team oriented. And that team orientation to the approach of how he plays is very helpful to keep more team synergy on the Raptors as far as like communicating, thinking about helping his other teammates in defense, switching. He has his liabilities, or he has like his, he can't do this. He doesn't do this very well, but he hides them very well. And his strengths really show up very well in other ways. And that's important. And that's good. You don't have to explain it. We all know Juancho could average like 2 points a game for the whole season, but we understand why he's valuable in some of the things he's doing and helping the team, because he definitely does help the team. All right, let me just go look around a little bit about different things that I wanted to talk about today. I know there is some other stuff that I have not mentioned, and one of them is Zach Lowe has come out with his thoughts on what he thinks the All-Star team should look like. And he's talking about the Eastern Conference, and I'm seeing here he's got his starters as Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, and Kevin Durant. That's interesting. He doesn't have Giannis starting. That's very interesting. He has Durant and Embiid over Giannis starting and Tatum. That's very weird. And then he says these are his locks to be reserves on the All-Star team. Tyrese Halliburton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bam Adebayo, and Pascal Siakam. So listen, he's already saying that he thinks that Pascal's a lock to be on the All-Star team this year. That's a good sign. If Zach Lowe, an NBA insider for ESPN, is saying that he thinks that Siakam will be there, then I like that. I like that a lot. That's probably very likely that he's right. Now, let me see what else they're saying here about does he actually say why he thinks that Siakam should be there? No, he doesn't really mention why. He just has him listed. And I mean, that's pretty good. He's got him listed in there over people like James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy Butler, Jalen Brunson, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle, Darius Garland, Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, Miles Turner, DeJounte. There's so many different people that he could have picked otherwise, but he has chose Siakam. And he says, this is what he says, actually. Siakam and Adebayo have to be all-stars. I've been stunned by some ballots leaving Adebayo out. He has been a rock for the Heat, with pretty much every teammate missing significant time. Kyle Lowry is receded to the fringes on offense. Adebayo is doing everything on both ends. So he's saying that he has to be on there. That's all he basically said. Is Siakam is an all-star reserve, and he's just a lock, and he has to be on that team. That is NBA insider Zach Lowe saying that. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Mike's saying Bo Cruz has the system IQ needed to know rotations and being in the right spots and making the right decisions. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, he's good for that. I really do appreciate Juancho for that. And Tom Cruise is saying, I bet Juancho nails everything in practice, and we will see a game and soon his shooting comes around. Well, I'm telling you, when I went to that coach's open house and saw him in practice, he was the hottest shooting Raptor there, and he hit everything. And he was hot later that week, where he hit a lot of shots later that week. This could be very timely thing that could very work out for us at some point and later in the season in the playoffs. The Juancho could all of a sudden be like a secret weapon. He wakes up and he just starts bombing amazing amounts of threes and giving us some points production himself. That is it's like a dormant volcano. The volcano is there, and we know it could erupt at any time. Just wait. Juancho may have some sort of crazy offensive output to say in games at some point this season, and everybody's gonna be like, "Where the fuck did that come from?" Well, he's got the opportunity. He's got the ability to do it. It's just whether he'll take the opportunity and do it, because he doesn't seem like he's very aggressive to try and score. But I think if he's feeling real good, he's making the shot, and Nick Nurse is telling him, "I need you to try and shoot more," then maybe he will. And maybe we'll see some sort of crazy game where he gets like 4 or 5 threes for us in one game, because that is very possible with him. Trust me. He's that kind of shooter. He can get hot like that and get going. Cool Cat saying we're developing different play styles on our team. Fred centric, Pascal centric, Scotty centric, bench 2 styles. That is versatility and flexibility. Mad scientist experimenting all along. Yes, I agree with this all, and I think you're exactly right. That it's not even like we changed the unit on the floor. It's almost like every trip down the court, we may say this is a Pascal style set play for this possession. This is a Scotty set play kind of thing for this possession. All right, we're going to let Fred manage things and do something on this possession. And they may just switch it around depending on how Nick feels for the game or that moment. It may be that they want something more down low, bully ball, Scotty. They want more like Pascal to try and get him going. Then they'll go to him. It's just very interesting. And it's not necessarily changing the people on the court. It's just changing the time down the court is what's happened when this change happens. Forgettable saying Pascal is going to lock up a half dozen coaches' votes by the end of this trip. I hope so. And we really do need to get winning, because that is going to be the biggest knock against him making the team is our winning percentage is not good. And that a lot of people that hate the Raptors are saying we don't deserve any all-star because we're not a winning team. Well, teams that aren't very good still have really, really good players that are all NBA and also really do deserve to be an all-star. And the fact that he did not make it last year, and I don't think Bam did either. I think that's why Zach Lowe's saying these guys have to be all-stars this year. They just have to be. They just have to be. Mike saying past California knows how to party. Big facts. Cool cat. Developing offensive creators is the way back to the chip. I tried to show that in my offense video and looking at the chip team. Whatever we can do to expand and diversify our offensive attack with different looks to make it hard for the other team is good. And I think that we're going to see more and more of that with Scotty emerging and Precious also. Once again, the Raptors 905 are playing today at 7:30 at Paramount Fine Food Center in Mississauga. Christian Koloko will be there once again. This is actually the Lunar New Year special game where they'll be celebrating the Year of the Rabbit at that game. So go down there and check out that game tonight at 7:30. If you're able to make it to Mississauga, you can watch Christian Koloko, Reggie Perry, Jeff Downton Jr., Ron Harper Jr. play the Birmingham Squadron tonight. The referees are Jenna Renault, Nate Surley, and Kaz Beverly. That's a very familiar crew. It seems like we've had that crew recently. Exactly that crew. Yeah, I don't know how much more there really is to go over. I'll just do a really quick recap of the games last night. In the game against Birmingham last night, or yesterday, I should say, it was a school day game with all the kids. Very loud crowd, very fun. Really good stuff by Sterling Brown, 7 to 10, 20 points. Ron Harper, fantastic. He's really becoming a solid leader for them that gets a lot of stats in different places and just does really big shots, like good threes at very important times. We're starting to learn more about the player profile of Ron Harper Jr. and what he could possibly do. Jeff Downton Jr. was solid down there, but not a big scoring night for him. But my 3 stars were Ron Harper Jr., Sterling Brown, and Gabe Brown. The 2 Brown guys off the bench were fantastic. It's Sterling and Gabe. 20 points and 17 points, 37 points between those 2 guys off the bench. And like I said, there were 6 Raptors 905 that scored in double digits. I like that balance. Very similar to how the Raptors had 6 double-digit scores also last night out of the 8 players that played. Got double digits. Siakam, my number 1 star for the Raptors last night with 26 points, 11 rebounds. Chris Boucher and Precious Achiuwa are my other 2 stars off the bench. Fantastic stuff for them. They were 16 of 23 from the field last night together. Chris and Precious. That is fantastic. 16 of 23, y'all. Seriously. That's what they shot, their percentage last night. Chris and Precious. That's fantastic. Add in 11 rebounds between the 2 of them. Booyah! Very good stuff. And solid stuff from the rest of the starters that I didn't mention. OG, Scotty, Fred, Gary, all with solid little spots here and there, making threes or making passes, making good stuff happen. All of them with pluses in the plus minus, plus 24 for OG, plus 22 for Scotty, plus 20 for Fred, plus 13 for Gary. So, yeah, they were all playing really, really well. And the other side of the ball, we really messed up Sabonis. We messed up his double-double streak. We didn't let Fox go crazy. He only got 16. Their bench didn't do jack shit. We just did a really good job of limiting the Kings, a very good offensive team that has been killing people lately. Good job, Raptors. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let me just wrap up things here real quick. So, yeah, watch the 905 game, 7:30 tonight. And tomorrow we will be playing the Golden State Warriors tomorrow night. And I'll have the preview tomorrow morning. Christian Koloko will be leaving Mississauga after the game tonight to go to California to be with the Raptors for the Warriors game tomorrow. So just so y'all know, I don't know if that means that Ron and Jeff are going also. It may mean that, actually. They might as well just send all 3 of them there just to have a full bench, because I don't think the 905 play again until sometime in the middle of the week, next week. So they could actually be out there with them. And Monique saying, W Stream, let's keep climbing, guys. So happy. I'm glad to hear that Monique is smiling and having a good time right now, because the Raptors are getting it together and getting it figured out, and things are heading in the right direction. I'm with you, Monique. It is so much nicer. The sky is bluer and nicer and less cloudy when the Raptors are winning and doing well. Carlos saying, it's what you've been saying all along, Lex. This team proving you right. Thank you, Carlo. Well, that's why I'm saying, y'all, if you really want to know what's going on with the Raptors from a positive fan perspective, somebody's not going to tear them down and make them sound all awful and stuff, and really does care and unconditionally and wants them to do well. You're on the right channel. And yeah, I have been found to be on top of it, and things kind of work out a certain way sometimes when I say certain things, and I appreciate that, Carlos. Just years and years and years of watching the NBA since the '80s, and really, really understanding how the game has evolved in the last 40 years, in the players and all this kind of stuff. There is some very accrued knowledge that I've gotten just from being a student of the game for decades and decades, just like a coach or the other people that are involved in the league. Yeah, there's been a lot of watching basketball in this head. Mike saying Konono had an interesting stat line, and it was a good game other than the TSN telecast issues. W stream, go Raps always. Yeah, I wasn't able to watch that game live, but Monique, thank you for posting a link to it, replay of it on YouTube. I was able to watch it later in the afternoon, and that was very, very helpful. Yeah, you know what? He's got to clean up the turnovers, obviously, and the balance between blocks and fouls is always going to be something we're going to have to look at with him. Like last night, yesterday he had he had 4 blocks to 4 fouls. So that's a 1-to-1 ratio. That's not horrible, I guess. Nameless is saying, glad I got the tail end of the live stream. Big win. How impressive was that smothering defense? This team looks way better when players such as Pascal are equally committed on both ends of the floor. Yeah, I mean, these guys are getting it together, and they really are. I'm so proud of them for not having things get worse, because there really are forces out there that wanted them to fall apart and have infighting and be in even worse shape at this point. In fact, that some of the dumpster fires that were started on our team, we're hoping that we would just burn out of control and just be a wreck for the whole rest of the season. Well, we're going to fix all that. We got the fire retardant dumpster, and we are putting out this flame. The flames and the problems that we've had this season are going to go away soon. Tom Duke, woohoo! Nameless, nicely done, Lex. 100%. Let's go. Thank you, Tom Duke, and thank you for all the things you do in the production crew of this channel. I appreciate Tom Duke, who divvies up the chapters on this stream for you to digest in smaller amounts if you feel like it. You have to appreciate and thank Tom Duke, West Coast Raptor Freak. Yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And tomorrow I'll have a preview of the Golden State Warriors game for the Raptors. Let's go Raptors. Let's keep this good feeling vibes going. I know these guys are having a good time out west, and they're all for one for all. It's us against everybody, baby. And you keep going, Raptors. You guys are going to get so much good stuff out of this road trip. This is going to be fantastic. What if we did win like most of these games and like broke our record for how many games we won in that road trip last year? 5-game wins in a road trip out west. We'd never done that before until last year. Well, let's get 6 or 7 on this crazy 7-game road trip we're on right now. Your pleasure, Tom. I appreciate you, sir. You're the best. And let's go